Welcome to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. I'm your host, Ross Rolfe, the Anxiety Coach, here to help you conquer anxiety and build a calm, confident life. In each episode, we'll explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you take control of anxiety and live life on your terms. Without further ado, let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. I'm Ross, and today I want to keep this one short and simple and really practical for you. Now, if anxiety hits you and you instantly feel overwhelmed, then this is the episode for you. Now, a lot of people do find that the hardest part with anxiety is not always the whole anxiety spike. It can be those first 60 seconds. And it's in that first rush of the adrenaline, that first feeling of the tingling, the first feeling in your chest, the first wave of dizziness, or maybe the first moment where your mind's going, oh no, here we go. And it's in those moments where what you do next really matters, right? And it's also then moments where it can really grab you and that can really make a difference to how you're going to react to it. So that first minute can either basically add fuel to the fire, or it can begin to calm the whole thing down. So today, I want to give you a simple response for those first 60 seconds of anxiety. Now, I want to be straight up with you here. This isn't just going to make it vanish instantly. I'm not some wizard. And if I could do that for everyone instantly like that, I'd be a multi-millionaire, wouldn't I? But it really does work. But this will not be, how to make it just go away straight away. It's not going to be how to force yourself to be calm. It's more about just learning to be calm with it and some techniques to take that edge off it to bring you into a calmer state and to stop you from making it even worse. And that's where the real progress first starts. Okay. And I always say this to people, but you're looking to aim to make it just a little bit less, even if it's 1% less. And then it's the repetition, being consistent through the practice that will lower your anxiety over time. And you'll be surprised how quick that time goes and how quick those 1% will actually compound and build up quite quickly. So when anxiety hits, most people do what feels natural. They start checking what is happening. They might scan their body thinking, oh, I can feel it here in my chest. My stomach's, spinning round and turning and twisting up. And then they might start trying to work out why it's happening. They wonder, why does this one feel a bit different? And quite often you'll convince yourself this feels different to every other one you've had before. You might try and make it stop straight away because it feels uncomfortable. You might Google it. You might look for reassurance from whoever you're with or even other people. And you start bracing yourself for it to get worse or telling yourself, because it feels different this time, it's going to be even worse than the other times. And none of that means you're doing anything wrong. It is still just that your brain is trying to protect you. But the problem is those reactions tell your nervous system there is danger. And if there's danger, the alarm stays on. So the first 60 seconds is where we want to interrupt the pattern. And I want you to remember this. Your goal in that first minute is not to feel amazing. Your goal is to respond differently. And that is it. To respond differently. So here is a really simple approach. When it first starts, the first thing you do is name what is happening. The second thing is you steady your body. And the third is you stay where you are if it is safe to do so. Okay? So obviously if you're in the middle of a road or something, don't just stay there. That goes without saying. Now, I'm going to walk you through them steps because obviously I need to break them down more than that. Otherwise, I'm going to have hundreds, if not thousands of messages from people going, what does that mean? Right? So I'm going to walk you through each bit of it. So when I say the first thing you do is you name it, This is when your anxiety hits and your mind starts turning it into this mystery. Oh, what's happening? Is something wrong with me? What if I lose control? What if this gets even worse? What other stuff? Well, it's all mystery. It's all fear and mystery, and we don't know, and we feel uncertain. Okay. You simply say to yourself, this is anxiety, or this is a false alarm, or even this is a surge of adrenaline, because that is ultimately what is causing you to feel them symptoms. It's the adrenaline going round your body that your nervous system is releasing. Okay. So you call it what it is. You call it what it is. This is anxiety. This is a false alarm, or whatever words really work for you, but it has to be similar to them. And then even if part of you doesn't believe that because you're worrying so much, you still label it. Okay. And you'll be surprised how powerful this is. When you name it and you're doing that accurately, it stops your mind from running wild and making up the wrong story. And you're reminding yourself that your nervous system is simply reminding you that it's there and it's working. But it's just not doing it in the way we want it at the moment, right? But we're going to retrain that. And that alone, just by naming what is happening, can make a huge difference. I know from some of my clients previously, when they were having the symptoms come up, they might be telling themselves that they have a brain tumor, that they've got something wrong with their body, that their stomach must be hurting because there must be some kind of problem with it, that their bowels go loose because they've got internal problems with them that are permanent and going to kill them. Like, that is how extreme your mind will go. But it's simply not the case. Now, the second thing you do is you steady your body. And this is where I'll give you a simple tool for doing this. And I'm not going to go through like the whole routine, and I'm not going to give you loads of techniques. Yes, there are loads of techniques, but we're keeping this short and simple today. Just one thing that you can use right here in that moment, or right there in that moment, if we're talking about it in the future. And this is one of my personal favorites. And I know that my clients have had massive success using this, and it does work. It worked amazingly for me, and I'm gifting this to you today. And this is the physiological sigh. This is really, really simple. What you do is you take in one breath through your nose, and immediately before you breathe out or hold it or anything, you then take a second small breath in through your nose as well. And it looks like this. So you're literally going, so you're doing one and then doing an extra second one. Now, hopefully you could hear that on the microphone. Sometimes it cuts it out, but if you heard nothing on this podcast, you might be best to go over to YouTube, where you should hopefully better hear it, or at least see it, what I did then. Now, the second small breath you also do through the nose, and then we do one long, slow exhale through the mouth. So it's an inhale, an extra little inhale, and then a long exhale. And we're not counting times on that or anything like that. And you do that 3 times, ideally. And that is it, right? And the reason I like this for that first minute is because it is simple, it's quick, and it helps take the edge off your adrenaline without it turning your breathing into some kind of big project. And that part really matters, because when people get anxious, they often start over managing their breathing, like, really overthinking it and thinking, oh, I have to breathe this way. Am I breathing a bit too quick? Like, you can often way overthink it, and actually that can make it worse. So the physiological sigh, super easy. So it's that deep breath in, extra little breath, and then a slow exhale out with your mouth. So you breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. And people go wrong with other breathing techniques that they try in these first 60 seconds
from my experience, because they start forcing deep breaths. They're trying to get their breath back and they're trying to force deep breaths and make their body do something it's not quite ready to do. Or they try and get that breathing technique that they heard about once upon a time to be perfect breaths, perfect breath into your body. Or they do like one or two and then they're constantly checking, is it working? And that simply just keeps the cycle going. The physiological sigh is different because it's brief, it's natural, and it's easy to do without getting obsessed by it. So again, it's one inhale through the nose, that small second extra inhale on top of it, and then a long, slow exhale through your mouth. And ideally, the exhale should take you longer than the breath in. Now, you're not going to do it and then magically make anxiety disappear, okay? But if you keep doing it and you routinely do that, it is super powerful, super, super powerful technique there. And you're doing it to reduce the intensity enough so that you can respond well, so that you don't get yourself into an absolute tiz over this. Yeah. Get yourself all worked up. This takes the edge off it. And then comes the third part. And this is stay where you are if it's safe to do so. And this part, loads of people miss it. They have that first urge with their anxiety to follow what is kind of telling them, and that's escape, leave the room, stop doing what you're doing, suddenly sit down, lie down. All of that is not going to help. They grab their phone, they start looking for reassurance, calling people. But you don't want to be doing that. And sometimes people would do like any random thing as well, actually, just to try and make that feeling stop. And it might even make no sense what they're doing, right? Because they've gone into such a panic over it. But when you instantly run from that feeling, your brain is learning that that feeling is dangerous, and that teaches it the cycle. And that's what keeps the anxiety going. So if you are safe, the best thing to do is you stay in that moment. You stay where you are. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but please trust me on this one. And it doesn't mean you have to force yourself to loving it. It doesn't mean you need to sit there and go, oh, yes, I'm so glad I stayed here. But you're not making yourself run from the situation, because then you'll get falling into the fight, flight, freeze. Yeah, the flight side, you would be running away. Now, it doesn't mean you just pretend that you suddenly feel nice because oh yeah, I've stayed here, it feels nice. But it means you do not immediately treat it like a threat. And that is then training your mind and your body that you are safe, instead of doing the opposite of what you want. So if you're standing in the kitchen, stay in the kitchen. If you're out walking, keep walking. If you're at the shop, just keep moving around gently and finish what you came in to get. If you're in a conversation, stay in that conversation as best as you can. And you're showing your brain that discomfort does not equal danger. And that is how your confidence will be rebuilt. And I want to say something important here. The first 60 seconds does not need to look perfect. You might feel shaky. You might feel scared. You might feel like you're not doing it right. You might feel like you do not fully believe what you're doing. And that is absolutely fine. Progress is not about having no anxiety. It's about interrupting that old pattern that you've had for so long. And that is a win, a big win. So let me give you a very simple script you can use in that first minute in amongst all this, okay? If anxiety hits, say this to yourself. This is anxiety. This is a false alarm. I do not need to panic about this. I can let this pass. I'm safe enough in this moment. My job is to respond calmly, not to feel calm straight away. And then do 3 physiological sighs. You could just do the 1 or so, but I would always say to try and do 3 if you can. Then keep doing the next normal thing. And that's the whole play. Simple, grounded, and repeatable. And I know some people listening might think that that sounds too basic, but basic is exactly what works in that first minute. And trust me on this, I was in that camp once upon a time where I believed that it was some kind of secret formula or something that no one gives you anywhere, and that you need some real detailed technique that's going to cognitively change your mind. But that's not the case. The consistency doing small techniques like this is what makes the difference. Yeah, admittedly, it helps if you've got someone holding you accountable, helping you with it over a period of time. But for what we're dealing with today, for these first 60 seconds to take the edge off, to lower your anxiety, this is absolutely perfect. Now, when adrenaline is high, you do not need a complicated strategy. You need something you can actually remember. So let's go over these points again, these 3 points to make it super, super simple for you. You name it, you steady your body, and you stay in the moment. And that is enough. Now, let me quickly cover what not to do in those first 60 seconds. Again, just to reiterate these, do not Google symptoms. Do not start checking your pulse, your breathing, every sensation in your body. Do not immediately ask someone to help you. Do not think, I am okay. Do not make the whole moment about getting rid of that feeling, because those things tell your brain there is a serious problem. And that is what keeps the alarm switched on. Instead, keep bringing yourself back to the same message. This is uncomfortable, but not dangerous. I do not need to feed this. I can handle this moment. And if anxiety does build further after that first minute, that does not mean you failed. It means your nervous system is activated. And you probably just need a bit more practice at this. You did the right thing by changing your response, and that is what matters. A lot of people think success means stopping anxiety instantly, but it doesn't. Success means not adding extra fear to it. And that is a very different target. And that is one you can actually hit. So if you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. The first minute of anxiety is not about control. It's about response. You name it clearly. You use one simple breath to take the edge off, which is the physiological sigh. Do it 3 times for optimum results. And then you stay in the moment instead of running from it. And that is how you begin to retrain your nervous system. That is how you start breaking the pattern. And that is how the fear of anxiety starts to lose its grip. So this week, I want you to practice this. Not only when anxiety is big, but practice remembering the steps now. This is anxiety. Physiological sigh. Stay in the moment. And the more familiar it becomes, the easier it will be to use when you really need it. And over time, that first 60 seconds becomes less chaotic, less frightening, and far more manageable. If this episode helped, share it with someone who you think needs a simple response for their anxious moments. And make sure you follow the podcast so you do not miss the next episode. And remember, when anxiety hits, you do not need a perfect reaction. Thank you for your time watching this. Please remember to like, subscribe, follow, share it, and help this podcast grow so we can get it out to as many people as possible so that we as a community help people together. Thank you for listening. Speak to you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling a little more calm, confident, and in control. Remember, small steps every day can lead to a big transformation in your life. If you found this episode helpful, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who you think might benefit. For more tools and resources, head over to my website at www.rossrolf.com. And don't forget to join the Anxiety Relief Hub on Facebook, which is a supportive community where you can connect, share, and grow. Until next time.